Good evening, people. Welcome to the Twa Auld Heids. We're speaking today with Indy Truck Davy, and it's going to give us some of the stuff that you don't see when you watch him on his daily broadcasts, along with Mr. Mike as usual. So there we go. Take it away, Mike.
Afternoon, David.
Afternoon, Mike.
I'm not sure. We normally try and start a theme in this, but I'm not sure that by the time this is shown, because we're recording it, I'm not sure the world will have changed because there's an awful lot of things going on. Can I kick off with some of the things that I think are affecting us just now? Only a small example, and I'm going to use Brexit as the way of doing this. We know that there's going to be trade deals struck by the UK government. We know they're going to have a bad effect. There's a whole bundle of things coming from the EU which is suggesting that they're going to support Scotland if it became independent. How do you react to that? I always have a thing between the EU and EFTA. And I watched, Dave knows this, I watched a discussion involving Yanis Varoufakis and a lady called Skelton, I can't remember her first name. And they both agreed that they expect the euro to implode sometime soon because of what's going on with lockdown and the virus. How do you react to all that, David, just as a subject in its own, and you can go wherever you like with it? That's just my ideas.
Well, if the European Central Bank is like any other central bank, then the currency can't implode, can it? They just print money, it just undervalues the stuff, you know. And 27 economies are in a better position to support the effects of this pandemic than what the 4 economies in the UK have. Especially as only one economy in the UK, or one government in the UK has control of the economy, and that being Westminster. There's no levels up here to deal with that sort of thing. So will the euro implode? I think the biggest danger to the euro is the weaker countries within the EU, because obviously they're not in control of their fiscal position anymore.
That was actually what they were arguing, was the essential weakness is you can't transfer tax revenue into a central position because the central bank's not.
You and I have spoken about this before. I mean, when the euro was being set up, they were advised by the Bank of England to not become a single currency, become a currency zone.
Yeah.
Right, and that meant that the values of each of the member states' version of the euro could at least fluctuate a wee bit. I mean,
yep.
You see with the sterling zone how the different pounds have different values, and the other currencies within the sterling zone have different values. They can fluctuate a wee bit, and they're underpinned by a base rate by the Bank of England. Now, the euro should have did that, and that maybe if they're going to keep the euro as if the EU is going to survive and they're going to keep the euro as a currency, then it might be a good idea to change the euro from being a single currency to being a currency zone. They could all keep this. I mean, they've all got different notes anyway, but they're all intrinsic value and they can be swapped around everywhere. You know what I mean? But it wouldn't be difficult to change the way the ECB operates, to change it from a single currency to a currency zone, and that would allow the places like Greece and that to get back on their feet.
That was the argument that was going on, is very simply that, David. My reason for raising it was not so much the currency situation, more on the basis of, will it be a hard Brexit on the 31st of December this year, and what are the effects of that?
I don't know if it'll be a hard Brexit. I mean, there is probably going to be minor agreements to keep traffic flowing at least. The French have set up a system where they can check the vehicles on the ferries and when they come off the ferries. The Dutch have put in a system where you get a 2-lane system when you get off at one of the big ports. You'll have a green lane for European lorries coming in and an orange one which will take you off onto a lorry park that they're built out of, you know what I mean?
Right.
At the ports. So the big problem is going to be the tariffs, of course, for businesses. Will it be viable for the Scottish farmer to still sell his meat into the EU? when the customer at the other side is going to have to pay 44% more than what it is today. You know, these are massive problems. Is there going to be a no deal? There's every possibility, because this lot down there are nothing that they're doing at the moment makes any sense whatsoever. The only thing that we can clearly see happening down there is that the cabinet are lining their own pockets. You know, if you look at the contracts that are being given out at the moment, right? But there's nothing they're doing down there at the moment that makes any economic sense. Not even the Bank of England is making any sense at the moment. Weakening the currency by pumping another 100 billion into the market.
Yeah,
none of it makes any bloody sense. But what we do know about, Mike, is they're shorting on the pound.
Yep.
Right. So they're making a killing in there, as well as other dodgy deals like the PPE contracts and the ferry contracts and all that. They're shorting on the pound, and they're letting the currency traders know what they're doing, and they're making a killing at it.
Did you see the day that Theresa Villiers got sacked for refusing to back the chlorinated chicken coming in? She got sacked, and Boris is going to try and replace him with Phelan Grayling as head of the Intelligence and Security Commission. What? I mean, how many cuts does Boris have to give himself before he dies?
Who's voting for James Kelly as the head of our intelligence committee when we go independent?
The Labour one of the pollster.
Sorry,
David, what you put your finger on there, we're now up at 740 odd billion of QE. What you put your finger on, I think, is what's driving all of this. It's not the lackluster, poorly equipped ministers we're looking at, including Boris. It's the people who behind that with the money who are wanting the Brexit done for their freedom of manoeuvre with money. And that's what's behind all of this. It's not, God bless him, it's not Boris that's in charge of this. It's the people that have said, put him in because we can deal with him.
Hedge fund managers.
We'll then organise everything that needs to be organised. Problem with we talk about it being end of December. Am I right in thinking it's actually the end of July that things have to be knitted together to see if we're going forward at all?
No, they've already decided. They spoke about this in the phone call last Monday. They've decided that they're going to keep trying to put a skeleton deal, as they're trying to call it, the Australian style deal, right?
Yeah.
So we went to Canada to all sorts. You know, we went to EFTA to Canada, you know. Now we're on the Australian style deal, which is basically World Trade Organization, you know, with a few exceptions. The exceptions being in automotive industry and food.
And
how much does all that affect? I always have trouble understanding the fishing industry, but how much, when we know that farmers were largely against independence, how much does the threat to their livelihood in Scotland begin to make them think twice? David, your opinion?
I would imagine that they are certainly changing their minds by the droves. One of the problems here is, but a lot of our farmers are tenant farmers, and guess who owns it? Guess who owns the land that their tenants own?
Aye.
You know what I mean?
Number two.
We're back to the background people.
That's correct. So the hedge funds managers and you know, and the major landowners, like, you know, they're quids in. You know, they're going to avoid all the tax. They're going to be able to keep their money in their tax havens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because let's not kid ourselves on. This is what Brexit's all about. And then the idea of joining the Trans-Pacific deal, that's just a corporate takeover. So it is. You know.
So what do we in the Yes movement do?
Well, we're very limited on our outlets, Mike. You know, there's me shouting for your truck, and there's you guys doing your shows and things like that. We're very limited in we're outlets to put these truths out there to people. You know, and put it out in such a way that they understand exactly what you're saying. You know.
And how do we go forward with either a Section 30 or UDI, an advisory referendum? What we're going to do with the Yes movement, right? One of the themes I try and follow every time Dave and I are doing this is that we've talked about the people are sovereign in Scotland.
Yep.
I haven't yet seen, in my opinion, I might be wrong, but I haven't seen, in my opinion, the sheer power of that sovereignty of the people being exercised. So we're looking at Section 30, we're looking at UDI, we're looking at the Covenant. There's options opening up, and I wonder whether or not
there's only one option, Mike, and that's a plebiscite of some sort.
Advisory referendum.
I don't see a need for a Section 30 order. I've never seen a need for a Section 30 order. To go back to the point you're making, Mike, the people are sovereign. Right? That means that there's nobody else required to give the authority to a referendum. So the people are sovereign.
Let's pull Dave in, David. Dave, your own thoughts on this. I know you've started coordinating for the Alliance for the list. Does that have an effect on what we're talking about?
I don't think so. I think that's a completely different issue altogether. But I think Martin Keating's court case is going to put a certain amount of pressure on the Scottish government themselves. At the end of the day, I think basically the SNP government have got a particular path that they want to follow, and they can get away with that because they say that it's a grey area and they don't know. I think Martin's case, one way or another, will make that happen. And when it does happen, they're going to have to decide one way or another whether I actually say, look, if Martin's case is successful, then they can't say anymore, oh, look, it's a wildcat referendum. No, it's a legal referendum because the Court of Session have said it is. So I think that will make a difference one way or another. If that is negative, then basically all it says is that it would be illegal to hold a referendum without Section 30 at the very worst. But that doesn't stop them using at the Scottish Parliament elections next year, like Angus MacNeil and Chris McKelney, who's going to be on next week, is basically saying, look, if we get a majority of the vote, not a majority of the seats, we get a majority of the vote, that should be the mandate, because everybody in Scotland's entitled to vote on it. That's a mandate to discuss independence rather than to hold a referendum. And I think there are more and more people coming into that way of thinking.
The good thing about Martin's, David, if you're not fully aware of it, is he actually, whether it's realistic is a question mark, right? But he's got a timetable for everything he's looking at, which takes us up to December, and that could be very, very important. Dave, you know more about that timetable than I do.
Well, basically, I think he's looking at the court case likely to be heard in 5 or 6 weeks from now. Probably another 2 or 3 weeks to get a decision, and then the obvious appeal by whichever side loses to the Supreme Court. But there's a possibility, because it's already heard, already been heard in the Scottish Supreme Court. It might be possible to take things to the ECJ before we leave the EU, which makes things completely different. But as I say, that's can be all up in the air. It depends where the case goes.
The one big difference in this is it never goes to the Supreme Court in London, Dave.
Well, it might. It depends. The same way as the Joanna Cherry thing about the
prorogation.
The prorogation. It was the Scottish Supreme Court ruled that it was legal, and they still took it to the Supreme Court in England. But the advantage was then that it was the case was heard under Scots law in the Supreme Court in England, which makes a difference from if it was just used as a simple appeal court. So I think it has to go all the way through the Scottish court system first, right to the second chamber of the court session on that one. Yes, Dave, what do you say?
I'd like to add a wee bit to that. I think Martin was a wee bit narrow in his case. Maybe we should get another case going at the same time in the court of session. And that would be challenging whether the Constitution's reserved or not, based on the fact that there is no bloody Constitution. As I said in my podcast the other day there, if you want to claim you're holding on to something, you better have something solid to hold on to. So if you can't put a constitution on my desk here where I can read it, challenge it in a court of law, then it bloody doesn't well exist and it can't be reserved. And under law, that you can't, you know, I would be looking at taking a second case to the Scottish Supreme Court based on that, and then take it to the UK Supreme Court based on that, because we don't have a constitution. We have a set of parliamentary rules and standing orders down there, and a bunch of gentlemen's agreements allegedly.
Yep.
You know, if you want to talk about the treaty of union, that's something different, because that's a trade treaty, and any treaty entered into can be withdrawn from. You don't need permission for that either. So I would have liked to have seen another case go through the Supreme Court, Scottish Supreme Court at the same time, arguing that there is no constitution for it to be reserved.
Cost, Martin, I think the legal crowd fund was up about 40,000 quid.
47 this morning, I think.
43,000 it was it last time I looked.
43.
Aye.
So you'd be asking a fair amount. So let's see whether or not, David, what you've just said opens up people's minds and see what support it gets.
Well, as I say, I am of the opinion that you can't hold on to something you can't see or feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this idea that the Constitution's reserved, when it can't be challenged legally because nobody can read it, then to me, under law, especially under Scots law, it doesn't bloody well exist. So therefore, it can't be reserved.
Interesting point. Can I drag you into something slightly different? Pensions. I've picked up on Brexit and farmers and how their mood might be changing. I think it was, I've never known if it's actually accurate. I think there are stats on it that at 2014, the majority of people who were on the state pension may have voted no. Office of Budget Responsibility has just issued a document to the UK government saying you better watch out a couple of years from now, because the way we see it, under the triple lock, you might be putting up state pensions by about 22%. It's in the Conservative manifesto only last November. We will stand by the triple lock. How much might it affect pensioners when they find out that that manifesto wasn't worth the paper it was written on?
It might affect them, it might change their mind a lot, but there's another side to that as well, considering we're independence campaigners. The Scottish Government has promised on independence to triple the state pension in Scotland and regionally. So that's interesting. That's going to be in their next prospectus for independence.
My reason for raising that is that decision to be taken probably by the Chancellor will be taken fairly shortly. It'll certainly be taken long before December comes around. How much of me in the Yes campaign should be getting round people who are, and I include myself in this, people who are on state pension and saying there's a difference between what Scotland is promising you and what the Tories promised you and have now gone back on. I think that's a huge catchment area. It is also true when we're talking about money, David, and the power behind money and tax evasion. That also affects a lot of younger people who were sitting down. It's a couple of years ago when Common Space was still a place for putting articles out on. I wrote an article on pensions, basically to do with promises being made and never fulfilled. It's the one subject I haven't yet got back into is pensions. I think you've got everyone in employment joining into a pension arrangement where they self-pay in and get a bit back also from the employer. The article I wrote at that time was to watch a particular investment house It's since crashed and lost half of everyone's money. I think there's a way Scotland can look at doing pensions. Instead of it being a Ponzi scheme, actually is self-funded all the way through, and it's part of the way we look at government deficits, because deficits was what I was watching this programme about, not to be scared of. It takes you into modern money theory, which is a bit airy-fairy for me, but basically not to be scared of deficits, because a deficit is someone else's surplus. My point being in all of that, there are trigger points. Farming is one, pensioners is another, younger people who may be looking for a job is a third, where I think the Yes movement can get very, very active in this intervening period, whilst they're waiting for some other things to happen.
Yeah.
Zip.
I don't disagree with you, actually. There's a lot of target areas that we should be manipulating at the moment. As I say, but once again, we're in a position where we are limited in the amount of people that we can reach, because we're limited in the output that we can generate. I believe that we're not going to get the devolution of broadcasting to Scotland. You know, and the catchment we are getting here and now, with all our efforts, are maybe only reaching 20, 30, 40,000 people. You know, we're going to have to find a different way to get messages out there. The National was a start, but it didn't start blooming local outlets, which is what we actually need. We need localized press, the localized ability to speak to people directly.
Yeah, what about if we do it the way the Americans do it? Like, no your presidents and all this, but town hall meetings, open town hall meetings in every area. We've got the Yes groups are there already. Organised town halls.
The problem we're having, David, when we talk about these open town hall meetings, you just said it there yourself. You just put half the population off. Town hall meeting, local Yes groups. That's the association that drives the other half of the population away. We have to get round that.
The thing is with it, you would get a lot of yesers who are not on social media and doing things. The people who would vote yes, that would maybe go to a local meeting. Like if they were.
My point is, David, we're still talking in the same bubble. You put a sign up in a town hall saying this is a Yes sponsored meeting, or you even just have a Independence Live with their t-shirts on, actually recording the town hall meeting and putting it out on social media as well. The association was driving half the population away, and that's the half we need to talk to.
The thing is, I mean, basically the way things are at the moment. When we were on the 500 miles, folks, it's like right, okay, there was only a few years, but we're going round with these Yes groups and all the rest of it, and it was like, so. How many people do you think they're going to convert with this thing? This is, I'm not allowed here to convert one no vote to a yes voter. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to convert yes voters to yes activists. I said, and that will get 100 votes.
When we had Mark Hurst on a couple of weeks ago, we hit on the point you were making, David, about local press, local media. And was it possible to produce, and I use the Orkney News as an example of something that's been set up by people who are yes, but it's not dealing solely with that as a subject. There's a load of things to deal with. And what I was asking Mark Hurst is it possible to try, not to compete with the National, it's not that level of thinking you're wanting. I'm still hoping Mark Hurst will come back on eventually, and I want to try and pursue that with him, because it fits in with what you're talking about. People in Sky are jumping up and down about, you know, people are arriving and they shouldn't be arriving, they shouldn't be doing that. That's entirely different than you're going to get from someone talking in Bells Hill saying what's wrong with the pub not being out, you know. And I think that type of thing, you can fit in the other messages you want to get across. My local paper, without going in great detail, has the guy Alex Gallagher always writing, if you remember him suddenly appearing recently, always writing letters into it. That is fed into the local narrative all the time. We've got to learn how to do that as well, but based on, I agree with you, based on locality, based on what is actually happening in the place. But you then need to get the activists that are willing to do that and keep doing it and sustain it. That to me is always the difficulty. Can I ask both of you a question? There's 4 million people registered to vote in Scotland. We reckon the polls are 50-50. Of the 50% that might vote yes, how many do you think are actually activists in the yes movement? It might be 100,000 going a march. Is it double that? Are we talking about 200,000 out of 2 million?
I don't think that's that. I think there are people who are politically aware, but I wouldn't describe them as activists.
No, that's what I was going to say. Actual activists, people putting out output, getting in amongst the community, talking to people, promoting the ideas. 10,000.
See, that's where I come back to what you were talking about, David, about those are the people we've got to talk to. I think there's a hell of a lot of yes people that we've got to talk to keep them going in the right direction.
Definitely.
Because there's a lot going to transpire this year, which may cause a lot of disruption in political parties and in the yes movement. You know, you'll both be aware of the things I'm talking about. And I think it's very, very important that whoever can do it tries to intervene to hold the thing together. I go back to my power of the people through sovereignty as part of that. We've not got to lose that grasp for that thought.
I think things might take a bit of a turn over the next 6 to 8 weeks, given that the parliamentary inquiries will be starting on Monday, although they'll not be taking witnesses right away. But I think that's going to draw an awful lot of things out. And I think basically whatever Alex Salmond decides to do is going to make a bit of it's going to be a key point in the whole way everything's going. But either for the way that it galvanises the SNP, or if Alex goes a separate way, because I think Alex is a lightning rod that can focus attention. Or repel attention in some cases, but I think what he decides to do, I think there's a lot of people sitting waiting and watching to see what actually happens with that, and I think the outcome is going to I think it's going to make a big split in the SNP. It'll be a lot harder to repair than the yes movement is going to have.
You know, this is a hard one. We're up against a hard one here. We're in no man's land at the moment. We're on 5 mandates, and we don't seem to be going anywhere.
Yep.
There really needs to be a good in-depth look at why this cause hasn't been advanced, especially as the SNP believe in the sovereignty the people might.
Yeah, some of them don't. There was a thing on here last year in Edinburgh. It was sort of chaired by J.D. Brock, who's my local MP. The two speakers was Mary Black and Ian Blackford. And Ian Blackford firmly believes in the sovereignty of the Scottish people. Mary Black said that the Scottish people were sovereign for 24 hours on the 14th of September, on the 19th of September 2014. And then they gave it back to, and I thought, are you serious? This is a Westminster MP who basically said in a public meeting, like a town hall, so that the Scottish people weren't sovereign, or they were sovereign for a day.
No, the people are definitely sovereign. So you can't get you don't get your sovereignty. The sovereignty can't be removed from the people.
I know that, but as to say, what I'm trying to say is that people with high profile in the SNP do not believe in Scottish sovereignty.
I'm going to jump in and defend her. I think she was talking about the power to exercise that sovereignty, Dave.
Yes.
I know what you've told me she said, but I've got a lot of time for Mary Black.
But the sovereignty issue is a big issue, and their government has to flex the sovereign muscles of the people. The Scottish government, that is.
I always come at this a different way, David. If there's 4 million of us allowed to vote, and half of us do, we transfer all the power of our sovereignty to 129 people in the Scottish Parliament. Nearly half of them are not in favour of independence. And you then get down to, out of the ones that are in favour of independence, let's say the SNP, I'm going to leave the Greens to the side for a moment, they then sit down and have a wee huddle and decide they'll pass all the power to one person. And that's why I keep coming back to the fact I'd like to see those in the Yes movement who have that power of sovereignty exercise that power more dramatically than is the case, rather than sit and wait. So the old stage version of waiting for Godot, it gets us nowhere if we have to keep waiting. If we have the sovereignty, we have the power, and nothing should stop us using that power. How is for discussion, but that's where I always keep coming from. Stop shuffling the power down to 129 people, then down to 70 odd people, then down to one person, and you suddenly find out that one person holds a view that maybe at least half of those that want independence don't share, and that's becoming more and more apparent.
What's becoming apparent is the people are getting restless. The people in the Yes movement are getting restless, and the people who voted no the last time are getting restless because there's a train crash coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have to swing that, and we have to swing that to our advantage.
If they think that COVID was bad, wait to see what Brexit means on top of it.
But you take the fact that if the experts are correct, we'll be carrying this virus for quite a while, and it will run head on. The collapse of society based on this will run head on into the disaster that's going to be Brexit. There's a double whammy coming down the line, and this is going to be painful for an awful lot of people. You and I and Mike are old enough to remember the Thatcher days.
Yep.
Right, multiply it by 5 or 6 times for what's coming down this road.
It might even be worse than, it might even be worse than that, David.
Because
there are viable businesses that are going to go to the wall, viable before COVID, and are going to go to the wall solely because of COVID.
And then there's going to be businesses go to the wall because of Brexit, because the tariff regimes mean that they can't afford to trade, beg your pardon. They can't afford to trade. So we've got a double whammy coming down this road, and ever shrinking tax base, which is going to put a lot of pressure on Westminster to reduce the bill, and that could include doing away with the assemblies.
I think
Recentralising of the civil service, selling off of the NHS. We're seeing the recentralisation of the civil service going on now. The tax offices are all moving into Essex, I believe. You know, that has just been wound down and amalgamated into the Foreign Office. Foreign Office don't need 600 employees in East Kilbride.
Yeah.
The tax office in Cumbernaund's already gone. Centre Land's run down to just a shell, wall of shell. There's no longer any tax offices in Glasgow, Edinburgh, Dundee or Aberdeen.
Is Dundee closed now, is it?
No.
I thought Dundee one was still open.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, south of Edinburgh, you into East Lothian, I think, well, I think some of the people who have got tax problems have to contact Newcastle.
You like me?
Sorry, gentlemen.
So what do those in the Yes movement do, David?
Well, what we've got to do as activists is recharge up everybody else. You know, we've got to get into our communities, talk to people about the oncoming train crash, make them aware that Scotland's sovereign and Scotland has a choice. But we have to do it at community level.
Yep.
I'm like that in my village all the time. I'm talking to the local shopkeeper, the local bartender, you know, and the people in the street. Same at my work when I'm out and round about. What do you think of this coming down the line? What do you think of that coming down the line? We have to get people engaged.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that are not engaged with what's actually going on, Mike, is frightening.
That's where I come from, David. That's why I asked the question earlier on about how many people are actually active in the Yes movement. Because get that to a certain size, in my opinion, if they all see the crash coming down the way, get it to a certain size and a certain level of awareness which is then put into action of some kind. I'm not going to try and define what that action is. I'm not talking about breaking the law. That has got to influence the small number, sorry Dave, that's got to influence a small number of politicians that would then act to carry out what's necessary. That's where I'm coming from. But it's got to start within the Yes movement. It won't, I speak totally personally, as soon as I'm asked to wait in something which is staring me in the face, which is negative, I don't sit and just wait for it to happen. You know, it's like watching a rock fall off a cliff that's going to hit you in the head. You step to the side and get out of the way. That to me is where we're stuck at the moment. Section 30 is a dead end.
Yeah, and that's where we go back to what Dave was saying earlier with people like Angus B. McNeill, you know, who have a real voice. As soon as life gets back to a semblance of normal, which could be October,
yeah,
maybe even into November, we have to start standing on our politicians' necks, especially Miss Sturgeon. I'm going to start a campaign to get everybody that voted yes last time and anybody that intends to vote yes next time to start sending her emails and letters. She told us that there would be a referendum in the lifetime of this Parliament. We're about out of time here.
Yep. She said 2020, David, if you want to be exact.
Aye.
That's this year.
You can give her an extra couple of months because of COVID.
Yep.
But realistically, there has to be. I was really happy to see that Mike Russell, who's on his way out the door, unfortunately, turned around the other day and said, right, we need to start talking about independence again then, if this is the way that the UK government are going in Brexit. Because at the end of the day, it's like something has to be done before we get dragged over the edge of the cliff with everybody else. And Mike Russell, I really respect, he's one of the people I really respect in the Parliament for what he does. And also when I heard the reason for them walking away as well, I was even more impressed. And it wasn't to spend time with his family, but it's like it's people like that the SNP need, and it's people like that who are going away. And I find it it's really sad.
If you start off, David, trying to get something like that going, the Yes movement giving voice to their opinion, their frustration, and saying something needs to be done, please let me know when you start it. I'll back you 100%.
I'll not be that far down the line, Mike. I'm watching these figures. You know yourself, my daily vlog. I'm watching these COVID figures very, very, very carefully. You know, I'm looking at the infection rate in every council area, although I'm only being out the headline figures. But I'm actually watching, and as I say, as each area starts to come out, we need to get a grip of the activists in each area and start encouraging the population, especially the yes population, to start pressurising the SNP. We voted them in on a manifesto of, and you have to deliver.
Yeah. Well, if you put it this way, right, like if all under one banner can pull 100,000 people into the streets, what about just trying to pull 100,000 people to go onto their computers and send an email? It's not that bloody difficult. You know what I mean? It's a lot easier than travelling away across the country and walking for 3 miles. But me and Mike had a talk about this before, about trying to get everybody who was bothered with this to go and visit their own MSP once the actual visits, instead of being digital anymore, to actually go and visit their surgeries and queue up outside the building and keep them there till Monday morning if necessary, with the same questions. It's like, let them know that there's an awful lot of people that are worried about the same thing, rather than being able to push it away. They can't do that in a face-to-face.
See, we're in politicians muddying the water here.
No, definitely.
You know what I mean? We'll get the gradualists in the party, and then we'll get the impatient in the party. But the point is, they ran on a manifesto specifically to do this. Yeah. How do you maintain the trust of the people if you don't follow your primary manifesto pledge?
And what's the point of a future manifesto if we don't believe it?
Correct, because we're already on manifesto number 4 and number 5. Exactly. People are starting to lose patience and lose faith. And when that happens, you lose your vote, you lose your voters, you lose your voter base.
Yeah.
You see people turning their back on yes because they're just going to say, well, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
When we were discussing it, Dave and I've got a small Facebook page. It's not important, but the first question I asked was, if a Section 30 request is made, in which of the following 5 years do you think that Boris Johnson is going to say yes to it? 2020, 21, 22, 23 or 24? If he never says yes to it, are you, as my candidate as a MSP, then going to go for an advisory referendum, a referendum, and then go down the unilateral declaration of independence route?
I'm fortunate enough to know where my MSP stands on this, because my MSP was sat on the TV with Gordon Brewer and promoted the idea of a advisory referendum, Alex Neil. And what he was saying is, whatever the outcome of that referendum is, you just enact it.
Yep. But I don't think this will happen, but it ties in with what David was saying. Say at the next candidates meeting of candidates, ask them a series of questions and try and find out the answers from that. And that could be the yes movement doing that.
As I say, I'm very keen on the idea that, as I say, I'm watching these figures right now. We're also watching for a second spike here, because that is a fear.
Right.
As things loosen up, we'll get a second spike. I mean, there's 20 primary schools in England had to shut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to watch what we're doing here. But as soon as I think that the second spike isn't going to be there, we're not going to, and this thing's starting to peter out.
Right.
Then I am definitely going to, through my vlog and in my local community, and say I'll go and see my MSP and my MP. I know both of them, obviously, and I'm going to start pressing them. And I'm going to encourage everybody else in my area that I know is a yeser to start pressurising them and all.
So I've already contacted Ben McPherson, MSP, and it's like he offered to phone me to talk about, but I'd rather actually do this one face to face. So I said I would wait till after the COVID thing was done, because you get a lot better idea about whether somebody's been completely honest with you when you see them face to face. Not that I'm saying it would lie on the phone, but it's from my own peace of mind.
No, it's a bit like this meeting, David. It's easier to have a floor conversation and a phone is not the best way of doing it. Sorry, I have to go. Someone's calling, or the front doorbell. If someone wants to shut you up on the phone, they can do it instantly. It's better face to face.
Right.
It's also better if it can be done in public. I watched a lot of the American crowd who go along to this, when the senator is having a meeting in his district. It doesn't matter whether it's Republican or Democrat. The activists go to his office and confront him, right? And it's done in public, and it's filmed nowadays with smartphones. And that, to me, is a way of digging out what is actually going on per each MSP. We three could name an MP in Westminster at the moment that just wants to relax overall, just wants to get the polls up to about 95, PW up to about 95%, and then he might just risk having a wee talk about it. Right. That is not my member of Parliament for Independence. Strikes me that this year in particular, and it's sad that the virus has intervened, but this year in particular, there are so many things coming together. This is a year we've got to be actually more active than we've ever been before. And it's got to be targeted. It can't just be woolly stuff.
You follow the Irish. Right, basically, when they had the Spanish flu in 1918, the Irish used that and the First World War to basically bring up their uprising. They made their uprising on the streets while that was flying across the place, and the British were so busy with their war and with a pandemic that was raging through the population, they didn't have the chance to actually fight it off in the way that they would have if they hadn't had other stuff to deal with. And then because of what happened in Dublin, like a couple of years later, Sinn Féin were voted in by a massive amount, and then they declared the Irish Free State. And I think that this is Scotland's time to do it, because when they're organised, I mean, you'll never have a weaker government. I was sitting thinking yesterday, like if Scotland had to negotiate its independence from England with English, hire Michel Barnier, because he's already kicked her arse.
Listen, Dave, this is a grave misconception that everybody has. Scotland and England won't be negotiating. We will invoke the Vienna Accords, and we'll bring in the international experts to do it that way. There's nobody ripping us off.
But you still have the fact that
we'll still have officials in the room, but we'll have oversight for the Vienna Accord
that's what I mean.
and the international community. Because the UK and Scotland, as part of the UK, is a signatory, and that means that the minute we become we declare independence after a plebiscite, we can invoke the Vienna Accords and bring in the international community to handle the divorce.
Yep.
So, and if we look at how things were laid out at the last referendum, and we look at international law, right? Now, what's going to happen here is everything within the two countries, the infrastructure will stay with them, right? Even though we've helped to finance most of that stuff, didn't it, right? But everything that the UK own outside the UK's own island, 50% of it belongs to Scotland.
Yep.
We're an equal partner.
Yep.
That's all in the trade treaty.
Yep.
Which we call the Treaty of Union. So that's all there.
Let's say, I know we're becoming to an end shortly, David. Let me ask a final question. If we three semi-intelligent people who want independence can see the opportunities ahead and can see the dangers ahead, both represent the same thing, why is it we have politicians that don't seem to see the same thing as us?
Why? Because they're under a lot of pressure from corporate lobbyists. They've got that many different things to handle. We're pretty much focused on achieving a goal. They're supposed to be our instruments for it. But while they're being our instruments for it, they're having to be all things to all man at the same time.
Especially the press. The way they bow down to the press is absolutely sickening.
But the press is always, you know my view on the press, David. You've seen me stand in front of the BBC and give them pelters.
So if they're sitting with a pile of papers in their in tray, have we got to be in the in tray on top more often than any other interested party?
Well, let's put it this way, Mike, that's an interesting point, you see, because they've got the researcher right, and they've got themselves, they've got their office and things like that. But if we want to free them up to only deal with that one issue, then obviously we're going to have to volunteer to deal with the other issues for them. Because they can make us all researchers. What's it got to just print a badge?
Yep. We spoke to one of the researchers before, like a couple of weeks back, when we spoke to Mark, and he told us an awful lot of the stuff that actually goes on, as far as that's concerned, like and how stuff gets shuffled aside, and that was his job when he was in there, and it was illuminating. But it boils down to the fact that, I mean, if you look at the daily meetings that they have like every day for the COVID thing, and you look at the list of the press that comes in, I noticed one day they had the BBC was questioning 1 in 4, and yet you've got that wee Paris Cortianis from the Scotsman moaning that Broadcasting Scotland got a question. And it's absolutely horrified by it, and it's just the whole thing is that we need to impress on them that the press are only. I mean, I think Nicola's finally getting into her head that they're actually there to do her damage, but she still pays them the respect of making sure that they're 1, 2, 3, 4 and stick on Broadcasting Scotland at their space when they're all together.
What's the press office do? What's the SNP press office do?
No idea.
Why aren't they phoning up these newspapers and fact checking them?
I have got no idea, but I'll tell you what, there's a thing called MSN Monitor on Twitter
John Robertson's brilliant at it, no?
Aye, I was watching.
Talking up Scotland, you know. There are guys out there that are really good at this research stuff, like Mike and that, you know. But if we really want them to concentrate on that one issue, then we're going to have to all volunteer in their offices, get ourselves badged. That way we can talk to the Downing Street official while he goes and talks to the population about what. Because you've got to remember, once they're elected, guys, they don't just represent the SNP and the Yes movement, they also have to represent the other point of view as well.
Yep.
And one of the ways the other point of view can take their mind off the job is just to keep piling problems on them.
Yep.
Solve this for me, solve that for me, solve this for me. And they feel obliged. With one researcher or maybe 2 researchers maximum they can afford to pay, if we want to free these guys up to get back to business, we're going to have to start taking some of the workload.
Well, I wouldn't have had a problem with that last week, but I'm going to be otherwise engaged.
How's the time looking, Dave? You're recording this?
We've got about 5 minutes left.
Okay. David, from your own perspective, what would you like to have seen done in the last, say, 6 months that hasn't been done? I know that's a kind of funny question. What I'm saying is, what are the steps that we will take when you see COVID backtracking a wee bit and letting us loose a wee bit? What are the steps that will be done then that we should have been doing 6 months ago?
Well, I've said what I'm going to do. You know, I'm going to start rounding up the people who are my audience and start encouraging them to start put pressure on their elected representatives to bring us to honouring this manifesto. As I say, because no honouring this manifesto is going to be bloody disastrous for the SNP. People keep seeing folks saying they're going to walk the floor next time round.
Yep.
They don't know.
Yep.
But there's going to be the COVID inquiry, there's going to be the Alex Salmond situation, and there's going to be whatever else the state brings up or can manufacture that will damage the SNP over the next 12 months.
Well, I say that.
Or 10 months, whatever it is now. So, they say, we need to pressurise the SNP hierarchy to get their mind back on the job. We know they've got more than one job. They've got to run Scotland to a degree within devolved measures, as well as spearhead the independence movement. Because I'll tell you something, even in 2012, 2013, 2014, the SNP didn't spearhead that at all.
No, they get dragged along.
They delegated it out to the Yes movement to spearhead it. That can't happen this time. They have to spearhead this themselves.
Yeah.
They really have to take a grip of the reins here. And we're going to have to force them to do that. So, to answer your question, Mike, I'm going to pressurise my MSP and MP. And I'm going to get the people who follow my blog to do the same. And the people in our groups to do the same. As I say, because we're a long way out for this election, and there's a couple of problems facing that come down the track for the SNP. One is that they haven't honoured this manifesto, and the second one is the state is going to be a big problem for them.
I agree with virtually everything you're saying, David. That's why I keep coming back to the Yes movement. I changed a photograph on the small Facebook page I'm talking about. From it used to be Project Fear, then it was Hope Over Fear. I've now changed it to Action Over Hope. It's got to be activity, and that activity, whatever it is, has got to hold the Yes movement together, despite what else might be going on.
Well, I think something really interesting is going to happen this time, and if we can get them to get to the point where we're having a referendum. The EU is going to make us an offer this time. They've already said that they're taking the gloves off. The UK is no longer a member state, and England breaking international law, which it will, meddling in the Scottish referendum, which it will, via the media alone, then the EU said they're taking the gloves off and they're going to join in this time. So I can see the EU, if we can get our politicians to the point where we're having a referendum, I can see the EU making as an offer. Something that can be put on the table in front of the people of Scotland as a prospectus, as well as independence itself. Whether people want to take that option or no, but it might give some more people the confidence to vote yes, because you've got to remember, under the EU's own rules, the Scottish people then have to have another referendum to say whether we want to join or no.
Yeah.
So the mere fact that they'll put a counter offer, or when Westminster's telling us we're too weak, too poor, too stupid, the EU was saying, come on, we'll make you a partner. Look how we treat Ireland. Look at how we treat the other smaller states. You know, and how Ireland's been treated through the Brexit negotiations is something that's sticking in the people of Scotland's heads.
Yeah.
You know, how we've been totally disregarded by Westminster, whereas Ireland has been at the forefront of everything Europe has done.
And disregarded is too mild a word, David. Everything that's been put forward by the Scottish government basically been put in the rubbish bin.
Oh, we not even looked at. I mean, Scotland's place in Europe wasn't looked at.
It's a disgrace.
You know, that was a disgrace. And if a special arrangement can be put in place for Northern Ireland, which is another thing that's going to stick in people's heads, why couldn't we have the reverse Greenland arrangement as well?
Yeah. I'm afraid that's us running out of time, guys. It's been illuminating again. Thanks for coming along, David. I'm going to have to cut this one short. We're not going to be able to fit into the podcast.
Thanks, David. I'll see you again soon, my friend.
No bother. I enjoyed that, by the way. It was a nice chat. Nice way to spend an hour on a Saturday afternoon. You gentlemen enjoy the rest of your weekend. Okie dokie.
Will do. I've got a load of editing. I had one yesterday and one the day to do. Thanks very much, David.
No bother. And I look forward to seeing you two guys in person when we can. You know what I mean?
Hopefully it'll not be too long.
Right, I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Cheers. Hello, everybody. We're going to be doing an interview with the Twa Auld Heids with Chris McKelney this weekend. And as you'll know, he's one of the people behind the Plan B thing that everyone's talking about. He's going to be coming out with a word with us this weekend. It's going to be on Tuesday at 7 p.m.
The difference, however, is we're inviting the Yes movement to take part in this. Immediately after you've seen the show and heard the discussion, take part in the poll that we're going to start and let us have your comments. Take part.